The stars looked different through the windows of Haven Point Station. Ambassador Lisa Carter watched them while waiting for humanity's first meeting with alien life. Her hands shook slightly as she checked her notes one more time. After decades of searching the galaxy, humans had finally found someone else. "They're coming," said Dr. Kevin Brooks from behind her. The language expert had spent months learning what little they knew about Zalathi speech patterns. Their ship just docked at Bay 7. Maria Santos looked up from her cultural files. As the team's alien culture specialist, she had the hardest job of all. How do you prepare to meet a species you know nothing about? Remember, no sudden movements. Their messages suggested they value calm behavior. Captain Jake Morrison's voice came through the comm system. "Ambassador, the Zalathi delegation is walking through the station corridors now. They should reach the meeting room in 10 minutes. Lisa took a deep breath. Everything depended on these next few hours. Earth's colonies were expanding fast and they needed allies, not enemies. "Thank you, Captain. Keep the New Dawn at a safe distance with all weapons powered down. We want them to see we come in peace." Haven Point Station floated in neutral space, built specifically for meetings like this. The Zalathi had chosen it because no military ships were supposed to come here. Only diplomatic vessels and traders used the station. It was the perfect place for first contact. The meeting room doors opened and Lisa's heart stopped. The Zalathi were beautiful in a strange way. They stood about 7 feet tall with green and gold scales that caught the light. Crystal formations grew from their heads like natural crowns. Their eyes were large and dark, showing intelligence that seemed ancient. The lead Zalathi stepped forward with grace. His crystal crown was larger than the others, marking him as important. "I am High Diplomat Zeth Kaller of the Zalathi Federation. We greet you, humans of Earth." His voice was musical, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. The translator device worked perfectly, turning his words into clear English. Lisa felt relieved that communication would not be a problem. "I am Ambassador Lisa Carter representing the United Earth Government. We are honored to meet you and your people." Lisa bowed slightly, hoping it was the right gesture. Zeth Kaller tilted his head in what might have been approval. "Your species is young but has traveled far. We have watched your ships cross the void with great speed. How do you move so quickly between the stars?" Kevin stepped forward when Lisa nodded. "Our jump drives fold space itself. We can cross dozens of light years in days instead of centuries." He spoke slowly and clearly, making sure the translator caught every word. "Interesting," said another Zalathi. Her crystals were smaller but glowed with a soft blue light. "We use quantum tunneling. Different methods, similar results. Perhaps we can learn from each other." Maria smiled at this first sign of cooperation. "We would love to share knowledge. Human science has always grown faster when we work together with others." The Zalathi delegation seemed pleased by this answer. They moved to the large table that filled the center of the room. Each side sat across from the other, with human and alien flags hanging on the walls. Through the huge windows, stars provided a peaceful backdrop for their historic meeting. "Tell us about your people," Zeth Kaller said. "What drives humans to spread across the galaxy so quickly?" Lisa had prepared for this question. "We are explorers by nature. Our planet became crowded, so we looked to the stars for new homes. Every human colony is a chance for our children to build better lives." "And how many colonies do you have now?" The question came from a quiet Zalathi who had not spoken before. His crystals were dark red, almost black. 47 worlds with permanent settlements," Maria answered, "plus mining stations and research outposts throughout human space. Each one is home to thousands or millions of people." The Zalathi exchanged glances and their crystals flickered with different colors. Lisa wondered if this was how they showed emotion or spoke to each other silently. "That is rapid expansion for such a young species," Zeth Kaller said carefully. "In our experience, fast growth can sometimes lead to conflicts with neighbors." Kevin caught the warning in those words. "Humans prefer cooperation to conflict. We've had wars in our past, but we learned that working together gets better results than fighting. We hope this meeting proves that," Lisa added. "Finding the Zalathi Federation is the most important thing that has happened to humanity. We want to be friends, not enemies." The conversation continued for hours. They shared basic information about their worlds, their technology, and their cultures. The Zalathi described their long history and careful approach to expansion. Humans told stories of Earth and the exciting discoveries on each new colony world. As the day went on, Lisa began to feel hopeful. The Zalathi seemed genuinely interested in human culture. They asked many questions about art, music, and philosophy. They laughed at human jokes, though the sound was like crystal chimes ringing in harmony. Your species creates beauty in many forms, Zethkalar observed after Maria showed them recordings of human music and dance. This suggests a peaceful nature despite your rapid expansion. We believe the universe is more beautiful when different people share it together, Lisa replied. That's why this meeting means so much to us. But she noticed that the Zalathi asked many questions about human military strength and colonial defenses. They seemed very interested in how humans protected their territory and dealt with threats. When Kevin asked about Zalathi military forces, their answers became vague and general. Captain Morrison's voice interrupted through her earpiece during a break. Ambassador, our long-range sensors are picking up some unusual readings at the edge of the system. Could be natural phenomena, but I wanted you to know. Lisa kept her face calm while the Zalathi were watching. Thank you for the update, Captain. Continue monitoring. The first day of meetings ended with a formal dinner in Haven Point's main hall. Both species tried foods from each other's worlds. The Zalathi brought crystal fruits that tasted like honey and starlight. Humans offered chocolate and coffee, which fascinated their guests. Tomorrow we will discuss territory and trade agreements, Zethkalar announced as the evening ended. These conversations will shape the future between our peoples, Lisa agreed, feeling tired but excited. As she walked back to her quarters, she looked out at the stars again. They seemed brighter now, full of possibility. Tomorrow would bring the real negotiations, but tonight, first contact felt like a complete success. She had no idea how wrong she was. The second day started with tension that Lisa could feel in the air. High Diplomat Zethkalar entered the meeting room with a different attitude. His crystal crown glowed brighter, and his movement seemed more formal. The other Zalathi followed behind him with serious expressions. We must discuss an important matter, Zethkalar said without the friendly greetings of yesterday. He activated a holographic display that showed a star map of local space. Red zones marked Zalathi territory, while blue areas showed human colonies. Lisa stared at the map with growing concern. The red and blue zones overlapped in several places. 12 human colonies sat directly inside areas the Zalathi claimed as their own. The Kepler sector has belonged to the Zalathi Federation for over 300 years, Zethkalar explained. His voice stayed calm, but Lisa heard steel underneath. Your colonies in this region are built on our sovereign territory. Kevin checked his notes quickly. The Kepler sector held some of humanity's most successful colonies. Over 2 million humans lived and worked there. Ambassador Carter, those settlements have been there for 3 years. We had no idea anyone else claimed that space. Maria studied the holographic map more carefully. High Diplomat, our surveys showed no signs of current occupation in the Kepler sector. We followed standard protocols for claiming uninhabited systems. The Zalathi with dark red crystals spoke for the first time since yesterday. Absence does not mean abandonment. We maintain ancient mining rights in those systems. Our ancestors worked those worlds for generations before your species even reached the stars. What kind of mining rights? Lisa asked. She needed to understand what they were really fighting about. Zethkalar gestured to the map and it zoomed in on specific planets. Quantum crystals similar to these. He touched the crystal formations on his head. They are essential to our technology and sacred to our people. Your colonies have been harvesting them without permission. The room fell silent. Lisa realized they had stumbled into something much bigger than a simple territory dispute. The crystals were clearly important to Zalathi culture and survival. We didn't know, Maria said honestly. If we had found evidence of your claims, we would have contacted you before starting any mining operations. Would you? Asked the female Zalathi with blue crystals. Your expansion has been aggressive. You claim systems quickly and establish permanent settlements before anyone can object. Lisa felt defensive but tried to stay diplomatic. Human expansion follows international law. We survey systems thoroughly before colonization. We've never found evidence of current alien occupation. Because you don't know how to look, the red crystal Zalathi said bluntly. Your scanners detect metal and energy signatures. They miss the quantum resonance patterns that mark our territorial claims. Kevin leaned forward, interested despite the tension. Could you teach us to recognize these patterns? If we can detect your claims, we can avoid future conflicts. Zethkalar's crystals flickered with different colors. Lisa was beginning to understand this was how Zalathi showed emotion. Right now the colors looked angry. The question is whether future cooperation is possible, Zethkalar said. Your species reproduces and expands at a rate that concerns us. In 50 years, how many colonies will you have? 100? 1,000? Maria tried to find middle ground. We could establish joint colonial ventures. Humans could provide labor and technology while Zalathi oversee crystal mining. Both our peoples would benefit. Sharing sacred sites with aliens, the red crystal Zalathi stood up, towering over the human delegation. That would be like humans allowing strangers to mine inside your religious buildings. Lisa was starting to understand the real problem. This wasn't just about territory or resources. The Zalathi saw human expansion as a threat to their entire way of life. Captain Morrison's voice came through her earpiece during a short break. Ambassador, those sensor readings are getting stronger. I'm detecting at least 20 ships holding position at the system's edge. They're trying to stay hidden, but our new sensors can pick them up. Lisa kept her expression neutral, while Kevin and Maria discussed mining rights with their Zalathi counterparts. 20 ships was a lot more than a diplomatic escort. It sounded like a military force. Any idea what kind of ships? She whispered into her comm. Unknown design, but they're big. Bigger than anything in our fleet. And, Ambassador? They've been there since before we arrived. This meeting might have been planned differently than we thought. Lisa felt cold despite the station's warm temperature. Had the Zalathi been planning this confrontation from the beginning? Were the diplomatic talks just a way to get humans to a place where they could be surrounded? When the talks resumed, Lisa noticed that Kevin was watching the Zalathi more carefully. As a language expert, he was trained to spot deception and hidden meanings. His concerned expression told her that something was wrong. Their speech patterns are changing, Kevin whispered during another break. They're using more formal language structures. In human cultures, this usually means people are preparing for conflict. Maria had made her own observations. They keep asking about our military capabilities and colonial defenses. Yesterday I thought it was just curiosity, but now I think they're gathering intelligence. For what purpose? Lisa asked, though she was afraid she already knew the answer. Maybe to figure out how hard it would be to force us out of the Kepler sector, Maria replied. The afternoon session focused on possible solutions to the territorial dispute. The Zalathi presented several options, but they all involved humans giving up their colonies. They offered limited trading rights in exchange for abandoning the Kepler sector completely. 2 million people can't just be relocated, Lisa explained. These aren't temporary research stations. They're permanent homes with families, schools, and businesses. Some children were born there. It's the only home they've ever known. Yet you built these homes on our land without permission, Zethkalar replied. From our perspective, you are asking us to give up our birthright to accommodate your illegal settlements. The debate continued for hours without progress. Both sides believed they were in the right and neither wanted to compromise. As the day wore on, the Zalathi became more demanding and the humans more stubborn. We need more time to study this situation, Lisa finally said, and we need to consult with our government on Earth. These decisions are too big for one diplomatic mission. Time may not be available, the red crystal Zalathi said ominously. Our patience with human expansion has limits. Are you threatening us? Kevin asked directly. Zethkalar raised a hand to calm his colleague. We prefer peaceful solutions, but the Zalathi Federation will protect its interests if necessary. As the second day ended, both sides were frustrated and angry. The friendly atmosphere of yesterday had been replaced by barely hidden hostility. Lisa realized that tomorrow might bring demands rather than negotiations. Captain Morrison contacted her privately that evening. Ambassador, those ships are moving closer. They're not hiding anymore. I think they want us to know they're there. Lisa stared out at the stars again, but they no longer looked bright with possibility. Instead, they seemed cold and threatening. Somewhere out there, an alien fleet was positioning itself for something. She just hoped it wasn't war. Prepare the New Dawn for emergency departure, she told Morrison. Don't make it obvious, but be ready to leave quickly if things go wrong. Understood. And, Ambassador, you should know that our communications are being monitored. The Zalathi have better sensor technology than we thought. Lisa closed her eyes. First contact was turning into a nightmare and she didn't know how to stop it. The third day of negotiations felt like walking into a trap. High Diplomat Zethkalar entered the meeting room with a formal document in his hands. His crystal crown blazed with bright, angry colors that Lisa had never seen before. The other Zalathi followed behind him like soldiers instead of diplomats. The Zalathi Federation has reached a decision, Zethkalar announced without sitting down. We present this final offer to resolve the territorial dispute peacefully. Lisa felt her stomach drop. Final offer meant ultimatum, and ultimatums meant the diplomacy was already over. She took the document with steady hands, though her heart was racing. The terms were simple and impossible. Humans had 6 months to evacuate all colonies in the Kepler sector. They would abandon all mining operations and remove all military assets from Zalathi space. In return, the Zalathi would allow limited trade agreements in neutral territory. This is unacceptable, Lisa said after reading the document twice. You're asking us to abandon our homes and leave millions of people homeless. We can't do that. You built those homes illegally, the Red Crystal Zalathi replied. His name was Admiral Kreshtal, and Lisa was beginning to suspect he was more military officer than diplomat. Criminals do not get to keep what they steal, even if they call it home. Kevin studied his translation notes carefully. Hi, diplomat. The language in this document is very different from yesterday's discussions. These sound like demands from a conqueror, not offers from a partner. Zethkalar's crystals flickered with what Lisa now recognized as irritation. The Zalathi Federation has been patient with human expansion, but patience has limits when dealing with a species that consumes worlds like a virus. A virus? Maria stood up, her cultural training forgotten in her anger. We're not a disease. We're people trying to build better lives for our families. Your reproductive rate is unsustainable, Admiral Kreshtal said coldly. Humans multiply faster than any species we have encountered. In 100 years you will claim 1,000 worlds. In 200 years you will have consumed entire sectors of the galaxy. Lisa tried to stay calm, but the Zalathi were making it difficult. Human population growth is slowing as our colonies develop. Advanced societies always have lower birth rates. We're not going to consume the galaxy. Your history suggests otherwise, Zethkalar replied. We have studied human civilization carefully. You have fought wars over resources for thousands of years. You have driven species extinct on your own planet. Now you bring these same behaviors to space. We've also learned from our mistakes, Kevin argued. Modern humans work together to protect environments and preserve life. Our colonies use sustainable technology. Words Admiral Kreshtal dismissed. We prefer to judge species by actions, not promises. Your actions show rapid expansion and resource consumption. Captain Morrison's voice came through Lisa's earpiece with urgent news. Ambassador, you need to know what's happening out here. 30 Zalathi warships just decloaked around the station. We're completely surrounded. Lisa kept her face neutral, but inside she was screaming. 30 warships meant this had been planned from the beginning. The Zalathi had never intended to negotiate fairly. They had brought enough firepower to destroy Haven Point and every human ship in the system. Perhaps we should take a short break to discuss these terms, Lisa suggested, hoping to buy time to think. Discussion time has ended, Zethkalar said firmly. We require your answer now. Will humanity accept our generous offer, or must we consider other options? The threat was clear. Lisa looked at her team and saw the same realization in their eyes. They were being held hostage by an alien fleet, forced to choose between abandoning their colonies or facing military action. I need to contact my government, Lisa said. These decisions are beyond my authority as an ambassador. You have 1 hour, Admiral Kreshtal announced. After that, we will assume humanity has chosen conflict over cooperation. The Zalathi delegation left the room, leaving the humans alone with their impossible choice. Lisa immediately contacted Captain Morrison for a full report on their situation. It's bad, Ambassador, Morrison said over the secure channel. Their ships are huge, much bigger than anything we have. They've got us in a complete circle with weapons charged and ready. The New Dawn couldn't fight even one of them, let alone 30. What about help from Earth? Kevin asked. How long would it take for a fleet to reach us? 2 weeks minimum, Morrison replied. And that's only if they send ships immediately. We don't have 2 weeks. We probably don't have 2 hours. Lisa opened a communication channel to Earth Command, but Admiral Helen Ross already knew about their situation. Long-range sensors had detected the Zalathi fleet movements. Ambassador, I'm authorizing you to agree to whatever terms necessary to get our people out of there safely, Admiral Ross said. We can't risk losing our entire diplomatic team over colonial disputes. Ma'am, if we abandon the Kepler sector, We're showing every alien species in the galaxy that humans can be bullied, Lisa argued. This won't be the last ultimatum we face. And if you're all killed, we lose our only contact with alien civilization, Ross replied. Sometimes retreat is the only option that lets you fight another day. But Lisa wasn't ready to give up. She asked Morrison to scan the Zalathi ships more carefully, looking for any weaknesses or advantages humans might have. Their shields are incredibly strong, Morrison reported, but their weapon systems seem designed for long-range combat. If we could get close enough, we might have a chance. Problem is, we'd never survive long enough to get close. Maria was studying the cultural implications of their situation. This whole meeting was designed to put us at a disadvantage, she realized. They chose a neutral station so we couldn't bring military ships. They brought their fleet in secret and revealed it only when they were ready to make demands. It's a classic intimidation tactic, Kevin agreed. Make your opponent feel helpless, then offer them a way out that benefits you. Lisa felt angry and helpless. Everything about First Contact had been manipulated by the Zalathi. They had never intended to treat humans as equals. From the beginning, they had seen humanity as a problem to be controlled or eliminated. The Zalathi delegation returned exactly 1 hour later. Zethkalar looked expectant, while Admiral Kreshtal seemed eager for conflict. Have you reached a decision? Zethkalar asked. Lisa took a deep breath. She was about to make the most important choice in human history. The United Earth government cannot abandon its colonies based on threats and ultimatums. We came here seeking friendship, but you've shown us only force. Admiral Kreshtal smiled, revealing sharp teeth. Then you have chosen war. We are prepared for that outcome. We haven't chosen anything yet, Lisa said firmly. But we won't be bullied into abandoning our people. If you want humans out of the Kepler sector, you'll have to find a better solution than threats. Zethkalar's crystals blazed with angry light. You are making a terrible mistake. The Zalathi Federation has destroyed species that refused our generous offers. Then you're not the peaceful people you pretended to be, Kevin said. You're conquerors using diplomacy as a weapon. The meeting was over. The Zalathi delegation prepared to leave Haven Point and return to their fleet. As they walked toward the door, Admiral Kreshtal turned back to face the humans. You have 12 hours to reconsider. After that, we will demonstrate why younger species should respect their elders. Lisa watched them leave, knowing that First Contact had become humanity's first alien war. But she also knew that some things were worth fighting for, even against impossible odds. Captain Morrison's voice came through her comm with grim news. Ambassador, the Zalathi fleet is moving into attack formation. Whatever happens next, we're going to face it together. Lisa looked out at the stars one more time, hoping it wouldn't be the last time she saw them. Somewhere out there, 2 million human colonists were depending on decisions made in this room. She just hoped they had made the right choice. The 12-hour deadline passed like a death sentence counting down. Lisa watched the clock on Haven Point's main display tick towards 0 while Captain Morrison gave her updates from the new dawn. The Zalathi fleet had arranged itself in a perfect attack formation around the station, their massive ships glowing with charged weapons. 5 minutes until their deadline, Morrison reported. All Zalathi vessels are locked onto our position. Ambassador, I strongly recommend we try to negotiate. Lisa shook her head. We've said everything we can say. Now we see if they're really willing to start a war over this. Kevin and Maria sat beside her in the observation lounge, watching 30 alien warships prepare to fire. Each Zalathi vessel was twice the size of the new dawn, bristling with weapons that human technology couldn't match. It looked like humanity's first contact would also be their last. Incoming transmission from the Zalathi flagship, Morrison announced. The main screen activated, showing Admiral Kreshtal in what was obviously the bridge of a warship. Behind him, Lisa could see weapons control stations and tactical displays. The Zalathi had never intended this to be anything but a military operation. This is Admiral Kreshtal of the Zalathi Defense Fleet, he announced. Your deadline has expired. We offer one final chance for humans to surrender peacefully. Prepare to evacuate Haven Point Station immediately. Lisa stood up and faced the screen directly. This is Ambassador Lisa Carter of the United Earth Government. We will not surrender to threats and ultimatums. If you want to start a war, that's your choice, but humanity will remember who fired the first shot. Kreshtal's crystals blazed with angry red light. So be it. All human vessels will prepare to be boarded or destroyed. You have brought this upon yourselves. The transmission ended, leaving the humans alone with their impossible situation. Through the observation windows, they could see the Zalathi ships moving into final attack positions. Energy was building along their weapon arrays, creating a light show that was beautiful and terrifying. Captain Morrison's voice came through the comm with barely controlled tension. Ambassador, they're charging main weapons. All ships are targeting the new dawn in the station. We have maybe 30 seconds before they fire. Lisa closed her eyes and tried to think of some last-minute solution. But humans had only one ship against 30, and the new dawn was a diplomatic vessel with minimal weapons. There was no way to fight and no way to run. Captain, she said sadly, when they start shooting, get the new dawn out of here if you can. Someone needs to tell Earth what happened here. I'm not leaving you behind, Morrison replied firmly. We came here together, and we'll face whatever happens together. Maria grabbed Elisa's hand as the Zalathi weapons reached full charge. At least we tried to do the right thing. Maybe the next human diplomats will have better luck. The tactical display showed Admiral Kreshetal's flagship moving, closer to Haven Point. The massive warship was easily 5 times larger than any human vessel, covered in weapons and armor that looked like it could destroy planets. Its main guns were aimed directly at the station's central hub. This is Admiral Kreshetal to all human vessels, came the final warning. You have refused our generous offer and chosen conflict. The Zalathi Federation will now demonstrate why younger species should obey their betters. The words were still echoing when Captain Morrison's voice came through the comm with shock and disbelief. Ambassador, you need to see this. Something just happened that I don't understand. Lisa looked at the tactical display and saw something impossible. A new ship had appeared between the Zalathi flagship and Haven Point Station. It was huge, larger than the biggest Zalathi vessel, and it hadn't been there a second before. Where did that come from? Kevin asked, staring at the screen. The mystery ship was clearly human in design, but unlike anything Lisa had ever seen. It was sleek and dark, covered in armor and weapons that made the new dawn look like a toy. Most importantly, its weapon systems were already charged and aimed at the Zalathi fleet. This is Commander Ryan Torres of the Terran Navy destroyer Silent Thunder, came a voice that was definitely human. Any hostile action against human vessels or civilians will be met with immediate and overwhelming response. Admiral Kreshetal's face appeared on screen again, but now he looked confused and angry instead of confident. Impossible. Our sensors detected no human ships in this system besides your diplomatic vessel, Commander Torres replied with calm authority. Your sensors need improvement, Admiral. The Silent Thunder has been monitoring this system for the past 3 weeks. We have detailed scans of every ship in your fleet, including structural weak points and weapon capabilities. Lisa felt her heart jump with hope and confusion. A human warship had been hidden in the system all along? How was that possible? And why hadn't Admiral Ross told her about it? The tactical display updated to show the Silent Thunder's position more clearly. The ship was positioned perfectly to protect Haven Point while threatening the Zalathi flagship. Its weapons were larger and more advanced than anything Lisa knew humans possessed. This is Admiral Kreshetal of the Zalathi Defense Fleet, the alien commander said with forced calm. You are outnumbered 30-1. Surrender now and we may allow you to leave peacefully. Commander Torres chuckled and the sound sent chills down Lisa's spine. Admiral, you might want to reconsider your tactical assessment. The Silent Thunder isn't just any warship. We're equipped with experimental stealth technology and weapon systems your people have never encountered. To prove his point, the Silent Thunder fired a single warning shot past the Zalathi flagship. The energy beam was so bright it lit up space like a miniature star, and when it struck an asteroid in the distance, the rock simply ceased to exist. That was set to 1% power, Torres announced. Would you like to see what full power can do? The Zalathi fleet suddenly seemed much less confident. Several ships moved into defensive positions, and Lisa could see frantic activity on their bridges. Admiral Kreshetal was receiving urgent reports from his tactical officers. How long has your ship been here? Kreshetal demanded. Long enough to record your fleet movements, communication frequencies, and battle tactics, Torres replied. We know exactly how you plan to attack Haven Point, and we've prepared appropriate countermeasures. Captain Morrison's voice came through Lisa's comm with amazement. Ambassador, I'm getting readings on that ship that don't make sense. Its stealth technology is decades ahead of anything I've seen. How did they build something like that without anyone knowing? Lisa was wondering the same thing. The Silent Thunder represented a level of human military technology that Earth Command had never revealed. Had they been developing secret weapons while pretending to focus on peaceful exploration? Commander Torres opened a communication channel directly to Haven Point Station. Ambassador Carter, this is Commander Torres. I apologize for the dramatic entrance, but we wanted to see how the Zalathi would behave when they thought they had all the advantages. Commander, I need to know what's happening here, Lisa replied. Admiral Ross never mentioned any military ships in this system. The Silent Thunder operates under special authorization, Torres explained. We're here to ensure that humanity's first contact doesn't end in disaster. The Zalathi have a history of using superior firepower to intimidate younger species into submission. Admiral Crescital was consulting with his officers, and Lisa could see the uncertainty on their faces. The appearance of an advanced human warship had completely changed the tactical situation. Instead of facing a helpless diplomatic mission, they were now confronting an unknown military capability. This changes nothing, Crescital finally announced, though his voice lacked its earlier confidence. The Zalathi Federation still demands human withdrawal from our territory. Admiral, Commander Torres said calmly, I think you should consider the possibility that humanity isn't as helpless as you assumed. We prefer diplomacy, but we're not defenseless. Perhaps it's time for more honest negotiations. The space around Haven Point fell silent as both fleets faced each other with weapons charged. The balance of power had shifted dramatically in just a few minutes. Lisa realized that everything was about to change, but she wasn't sure if it would be for better or worse. The real test would come in the next few moments, when the Zalathi decided whether to fight or talk. The tension in space was thick enough to cut with a knife. 30 Zalathi warships faced one human destroyer in a standoff that would determine the future of two civilizations. Admiral Crescital stared at the Silent Thunder on his tactical display, trying to understand how his perfect plan had gone so wrong. Commander Torres, Crescital said finally, your ship is impressive, but you are still outnumbered 30-1. Even with superior technology, you cannot defeat our entire fleet. Commander Torres replied with the calm confidence of someone holding all the cards. Admiral, you're making assumptions about what you're facing. The Silent Thunder isn't just one ship with good weapons. We represent something your intelligence reports missed completely. Lisa watched the conversation from Haven Point's observation lounge, her heart pounding with excitement and fear. Whatever happened next would echo through history as the moment humanity either earned respect or started its first galactic war. Explain yourself, Crescital demanded, though his voice carried less authority than before. For the past 3 weeks, we've been studying your fleet, Torres continued. We know your ship classes, weapon ranges, shield frequencies, and communication codes. More importantly, we know your tactical doctrine. You rely on overwhelming firepower and intimidation to force weaker species into submission. The Silent Thunder moved slightly, adjusting its position to better target multiple Zalathi vessels. The movement was smooth and precise, showing complete confidence in the face of overwhelming odds. But here's what you don't know about humans, Torres added. We've been preparing for first contact scenarios for decades. The Silent Thunder isn't our only response to hostile alien contact. She's just the one you can see. Admiral Crescital leaned forward in his command chair. You're bluffing. Our sensors show only your ship and the diplomatic vessel. Your sensors are designed to detect Zalathi technology, Torres replied. They're not very good at finding things that don't want to be found. To prove his point, Commander Torres transmitted detailed scanner records to the Zalathi flagship. The data showed 3 weeks of Zalathi fleet movements, private communications between their ships, and tactical plans that were supposed to be secret. Impossible, Crescital whispered as he reviewed the intelligence. How did you penetrate our security protocols? Human technology develops differently than Zalathi science, Torres explained. You focus on raw power and energy manipulation. We specialize in stealth, information gathering, and precision strikes. Different approaches to the same problems. Lisa felt a surge of pride mixed with concern. Humanity had clearly been preparing for hostile first contact, much more thoroughly than anyone had told her. But she worried about what other secrets Earth Command was keeping from their own diplomats. High Diplomat. Zethkalar's voice came through the communication channel for the first time since the ultimatum. Commander Torres, your demonstration is impressive, but it does not change the fundamental problem. Human expansion threatens Zalathi interests. Actually, it changes everything, Ambassador Carter interrupted, stepping forward to address both fleets directly. High Diplomat, 3 days ago you treated us like children who needed to be controlled. Now you're talking to us as equals. That's exactly the change we needed. Commander Torres supported her statement. Ambassador Carter is right. The Zalathi Federation needs to understand that humanity isn't a primitive species that can be bullied. We're a civilization capable of defending ourselves and our interests. Admiral Crescital was studying the tactical situation with growing frustration. His overwhelming advantage had disappeared, and he wasn't sure how to proceed. Even if your technology is more advanced than we expected, this doesn't resolve the territorial dispute. Then let's resolve it properly, Lisa said firmly. As equals negotiating in good faith, instead of conquerors delivering ultimatums to primitives. The conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication from one of the Zalathi scout ships. Admiral, we're detecting additional energy signatures throughout the system. There may be more human vessels using stealth technology. Commander Torres smiled grimly. Admiral, I told you the Silent Thunder represents human preparedness for hostile contact. We've been watching this system since before your fleet arrived. Did you really think we'd risk our first diplomatic mission without proper backup? The implication was clear. Humans had multiple hidden ships positioned throughout the system, all capable of striking the Zalathi fleet without warning. The tactical situation was no longer 30 against 1. It might be 30 against an unknown number of invisible enemies. High Diplomat Zethkalar made the decision that would determine everything. All Zalathi vessels stand down from combat alert, power down weapons and assume defensive positions. Admiral Crescital looked shocked. High Diplomat, we still have superior numbers. We can fight our way out of this system, and lose how many ships to invisible enemies with superior technology? Zethkalar replied. The humans have demonstrated that they're not the helpless species we believed. Perhaps it's time to treat them with the respect they've earned. Commander Torres immediately responded by powering down the Silent Thunder's weapons. High Diplomat, humans prefer cooperation to conflict. We brought military assets to this meeting as insurance, not as a first choice. Lisa felt relief flooding through her body. The immediate threat of battle was over, but now came the harder task of building a real relationship between their species. Commander Torres, I need to ask you something directly, she said. How long has Earth been preparing for hostile first contact? And why wasn't I told about these preparations? Torres paused before answering. Ambassador, the Silent Thunder program has been classified since its inception. We hoped we'd never need it, but we couldn't risk losing humanity's first contact team to alien aggression. Your safety was our primary concern. Captain Morrison's voice came through the comm with a mixture of relief and curiosity. Commander, what other surprises does Earth Command have hidden out there? Enough to protect human interests, Torres replied diplomatically. But not so many that we want to fight every alien species we meet. We'd much rather have the Zalathi as allies than enemies. High Diplomat Zethkalar agreed to return to Haven Point for new negotiations. This time, both sides would approach the talks as equals with military capabilities to back up their diplomatic positions. The Kepler sector dispute still needs resolution, Zethkalar admitted as his shuttle docked with the station. But perhaps we can find solutions that don't require the abandonment of human colonies. Lisa felt hopeful for the first time in 3 days. High Diplomat, I believe we can find ways for both our peoples to benefit from the quantum crystal resources. Humans excel at large-scale mining operations, while Zalathi understand the spiritual and technological significance of the crystals. The new negotiations lasted 2 more days, but the atmosphere was completely different. Instead of ultimatums and threats, both sides worked to find genuine compromise. Humans would share crystal mining profits with the Zalathi, while respecting sacred sites. Zalathi would provide advanced sensor technology to help humans detect territorial claims in the future. Commander Torres kept the Silent Thunder visible throughout the talks, a reminder that humanity was no longer defenseless, but the ship's weapons stayed powered down, showing that humans preferred peace when it was offered honestly. As the negotiations concluded with a preliminary trade and territory agreement, Lisa stood once again at Haven Point's observation windows. The stars looked bright with possibility again, but now she understood that first contact had been much more dangerous than anyone had expected. Commander Torres, she said as they prepared to return to Earth, I'm glad you were here, but I hope we won't need invisible warships for future diplomatic missions. Torres smiled as he prepared to return the Silent Thunder to its secret patrol duties. Ambassador in a galaxy full of unknown civilizations, it's better to have military backup and not need it than to need it and not have it. Lisa nodded, understanding that humanity had announced itself to the galaxy as a species that preferred peace, but was prepared for war. The Zalathi would spread word to other alien civilizations that humans were not to be underestimated. First contact had ended successfully, but Lisa knew it was just the beginning of humanity's journey among the stars, and somewhere out there, hidden ships full of human warriors would be watching and waiting, ready to protect Earth's children as they built their future in the cosmos.